Okay, it's time for today's CSS Battle. Let's see what we've got. Okay. Could probably mirror this, so let's have two elements. And we will put a background on this first so that we can see where it's going. We'll turn on diff. So what height does this want to be? Call that 70. 70 and 230 maybe. So 160. And then we'll give it some margins. 70 down. And 12 in. Except we don't want that to be like that. Let's give it 0 for the bottom. We want 12 in from that side. 56. That's going to be 15. No. 20. 190. 198 maybe. Let's just go 200. No. 195. 195 looks about right. Then while we're at this, we will also put the other P in place. So minus 160, 120195. Oh, that is, so they are not quite joining in the middle. So 196. 198. That's got a bigger gap. What has gone wrong here? Oh, hang on, that's let's go 200 and 200. Huh. 210. No. 180. 180. Okay. We do scale of -1 in X, 1 in Y. And we put a border radius of 80 pixels, 0, 0, 0. Then let's make that right. 90 pixels, 100 pixels. 100 pixels looks right. And then we set this background to this color. And then we need the square in the middle, so I reckon a cubic. Do I mean in cubic? I don't think I'm in cubic. Do I in cubic? Oh, I don't know. But anyway, we go the off-white and transparent. We do the off-white for 25%, then transparent for the rest. Is it not a cubic gradient? What am I looking for? Conic gradient. That's what I was looking for. Conic, that's better. Okay, now take off the diff. We need to shift it. Right, let's turn back on the diff. Let's shift it left by 4 pixels. We also do no repeat and shift it down by 20 pixels, 30 pixels. Okay, we might need an @ If we use an @ we may not need quite as much other stuff. So what's this distance? 200 to 230, so 30 off, that's 100, so 100 down, and inwards we go 20 to 120, so 100 pixels, 100 pixels. We change that to a 0, and we change that to a repeat X, because that gets rid of another problem. That gets us that shape there. Now we could use 2 more elements because they're going to be very similar to the 2 outside bits, just slimmer. Or we could try making them with a quarter circle and a conic gradient. Now which one's going to be smaller? I think using another 2 elements is going to be smaller. So let's make 2 P's and make these both I. Then we can go P I, and then we want those to have a height of, we'll call that 110 to 190, so 80. We'll make its background red temporarily. We shift it, the first one, to the left a bit, so margin is going to be minus 160, 12, no, not 12, where are we going with the left this time? 180 is too much, 160, is too much, 120, 122, and 180, 190, 112. That's good. And then shift it down a bit, so 140, 130, 120. We'll just take out the second one for now, just so that we can see what we're doing. Okay, that looks right. Now then, if we take this as a var f for flip, then we can make this just like that. We take that background out and we're actually good. And then pi plus pi, we put the flip back into -1. We'll temporarily give this a background of red so that we can see where it is, and I can't see where it is. So give this a margin of -60, 1220212. We also add it back in up here. Okay, 60's wrong. What was the height? 80. So that would be right. We can get rid of that background there. Now then, we'll also make this a var of m, because that's going, we've got enough of them that this is going to save as characters. Okay. Now, what have we got wrong? Oh, the body. So we're just going to use ampersand for this. Background needs to be that off-white. Now if we look at the diff, that looks fairly good. Let's hit submit and see where we're at. That's 100%, so that's good. Is there anything else that we can crunch a little bit? Well, that's 25 VW. That's 25 VW. 30 pixels is 10 VH, so that's, I can't do much with that. That 100 pixels, however, given that we never changed that, what happens if we make that 1 inch? How about 2 inches? Nope. We'll just leave that as 25 VW then. And then we're going to take that, and that off, take that off, take that off, take that off, and then we're going to minify and submit. Now, is there a better way that we could have done this? Could we do it with just two? Could we do it with just 2 elements? We may be able to do this with just 2 elements, thinking about it. Let's try that. So let's just take those two elements. We will get rid of all of this for now, and we'll also change that margin to be 70 and 12, which should give us what we actually want, which is that full thing. And then I think this one wants to be 25 VW. Let's just see what we've got. Nope, that's the wrong one. Let's try 25 VW there. That would be the right one. So make that a 0. This conic gradient we'll temporarily take out. We'll use instead a linear gradient, and we'll make it the blue, then the white. Actually, we don't need blue, so let's do transparent, off-white, transparent, add some color stops in. So this is going to be what we call that 20, 120, so 100 pixels in. We need this at 90 degrees. We need a color stop there, and then the whole width of this is 20, 380. Now let's just take 20 from this number, so 260. Also add a 0. Okay. Starting from 100. That should be starting from 260. Why? Oh, 160. Right. Alright, 100 pixels. Then 260 pixels. Why is that 160? Right. Let's get these in the right order. And then we get rid of that. Yeah. Okay, so that gets us that. What we then do is do a 0 and a 20 pixels down and a repeat X, and that's still 30 pixels down, and then we give it a 100% width and a 100 pixels height, and that will get us that. So that's a good start. Okay. Now for the second P, which we will actually add a bit to, we'll call that PI. And we'll do I. And we want the height of that to be, what's the height of this? 110, 190, so 80. Margins, now then it's going to need to go up. So minus 160, 180, 190 should be about perfect. Yep, and then in from the sides We'll call it 160. That's too far. 120. 120 maybe about right. Make the border radius 40 pixels. 40 pixels 0, 0. Is that any closer? We will just temporarily set the background to just the blue. Because it'll make it much easier to tell when we've got things right. 40 pixels, 30 pixels, 40, 50. We also need that to be 122, 122. And these are both 50 pixels. And then instead of that background, we just want a linear gradient that goes blue, transparent, blue, width of that is 130 to 180, so 50. That gap is 180 to 220, so that's another 40 pixels, so 90 pixels. And then we do that. We also need this at 90 degrees. Okay, that looks quite good. Now, what can we crush down? Well, we know that 100 pixels is 25 VW. 260. Well, 200 will be 50 VW, and 60 over 4 be 25, no 15. So if we make that 65 VW maybe? Yeah. And then can we save anything by using a var for those two? I don't think so. Let's actually do that, because then I can get rid of that and that and just make that that. Now could I crush the two? No, I can't. Not easily. I think that's probably as good as I can get. And I think that's going to work out a lot shorter than the other solution. So let's hit minify. Ooh. We can also get rid of that and that. This may not end up being shorter, you know. If we change that to a 0, what happens? It all goes horribly wrong. Yeah, that's what I thought. Is there anything else that I could possibly do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is only just a saving. Let's actually just change. Let's get rid of that attribute, and instead of that, use p plus p, which is the same number of characters, but we've saved 2 up there. Now, if I change that so that now I'd say 4 characters if I made it transparent there, and the white there would take 2 of that. So no, I can't shorten it that way. I think this is actually going to be a worse score by 1 character. Terrible. Or I can save that 1 extra character just by doing that. Why have I got... Will that work? Yes, that works. Is there any more that we can shave? Repeat X is smaller than no repeat, and I don't think I can. If I take off repeat X, then it's just going to be a white line right the way down, so that doesn't help. Because the other way of doing that would be, yeah, problematic in its own right. Could we do the white square with conic gradient and repeating? We might be able to actually. Still need to set a height of it. If I made that the bottom corner. Okay, let's try. This might. Yeah, let's give this a go. Conic gradient, 90 degrees. The white, 25%, and then we'll actually use the blue. We'll get rid of that bit. From 90 degrees. We use an at 100 pixels. 100 pixels. We shift it 0 from the left, 30 pixels from the top. That's not quite right, but bear with me. What have I done wrong? So from 90 degrees would be should be there. This should be the bottom left. Should be white. What happens if I do 180 degrees? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, then we set the width to not 100%, we set the width to 20 off of 280, so 260 pixels. That should get the white somewhere near the right place, and we set the height to 130 pixels. Set the top to minus 30 pixels. 40, 50, 60, 70, 70 would make sense. Then 180, 90, okay, to 100. Okay, that looks right. I think that's going to save us some characters. Now let's change some of these numbers to make them shorter. So 200 pixels is 50 VW. 260 is 50 plus 15, so 65 VW. Minus 70 not divisible by what happens if I do it 70, 80, what happens if I just make that 30? 30 is exactly wrong. 60, 70, 80. Okay, if I make it 130, still not divisible by 3 or 4, so that doesn't really help. And 100 people. Maybe if I'd made that 30 pixels, then that could be a 0. Okay, if we then make that a 0, then its height doesn't want to be that tall. If I set that to 160 pixels, that's too much. 120, 130. Oh, whatever happens, I end up with 130 pixels sooner or later, which makes sense because that's 30 pixels. Okay, we're going to leave that like that. We're going to change this to 25 VW. I think that's probably as good as we're going to get. Is there any more that we can take out? Nope. Let's hit submit. That should get us a slightly better score. And I think that's where I'm going to, I'm going to leave it there. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.